All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Startup Huddle, GEW 2021. I am super excited. This is Global Entrepreneurship Week across the world, and we're celebrating entrepreneurs right here in Antigua and Barbuda. And it is just super exciting to see all the amazing businesses that have popped up over the last year, and those who have actually been very resilient to transcend the pandemic as well. My name is Elijah James. I am your local Startup Huddle community organizer right here in Antigua and Barbuda. And I just want to welcome each and every one of you to Startup Huddle this evening. I have a co-host with me, which is Ashante Lindsay, and she's also a very innovative entrepreneur who delights in a lot of sweets and confectionaries and creating awesome memories through food. And I'm a big foodie, so we gel very well. So Ashanti will be co-hosting with me tonight. Tonight, we are going to be covering quite a few areas. We're going to be talking about the entrepreneurial ecosystem right here in Antigua and Barbuda around the world. We're going to be talking about barriers. We're going to be talking about solutions that have come out over some of those barriers. And we're going to talk about opportunities, one of which is the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, which applications processes just opened for 2023 for the next cohort. And so we'll be sharing that opportunity with you. Feel free to ask any questions, engage. Don't be shy. Let's have a great conversation and let's make this roundtable discussion well worth it this evening. So before we start, I want to definitely recognize some of our partners that has made GEW and also Startup Huddle possible right here within Antigua and Barbuda, one of which is the Guard Center. And the Guard Center is actually our organizer for Global Entrepreneurship Week here in Antigua and Barbuda. I will highlight them on the screen for you. And just to share with you a little bit of what's happening for Global Entrepreneurship Week, tonight we are having Startup Huddle. And then tomorrow there's going to be a Let's Talk Business session at the Clay Hall Secondary School. And then there's going to be a Let's Talk Business session at the Guard Center on Thursday. And then they're going to be having a fun walk on the 12th, celebrating 32 years, starting from Marble Hill. And then on the 13th, there's going to be a breakfast and exhibition at the actual Guard Center. And then there's going to be a closing service on the 14th to commemorate Global Entrepreneurship Week. So please, I want to encourage each and every one of you to share, of course. This information can be found on the Startup Huddle social media and website, and also, of course, on our partners, the Gilbert Agriculture and Rural Development Center. They are responsible for hosting Global Entrepreneurship Week right here in Antigua and Barbuda. And they're also celebrating a lot of awesome entrepreneurs. So on the screen, you see we have Leslie and Francis, Stephen Matthews, O'Neill Elvin, and Letitia Edwards. And information, all these entrepreneurs can be found, of course, also on the Guard Center. And I'm just going to highlight them. Stefan looks like he is in charge of Big Weeks, the owner of Big Eats Catering, doing good cooking. And then when we hop over to the next entrepreneur, Letitia, she looks like she's in charge of Comfy Fashion Melody. Looks like she does a lot of cushions and unique designs for homes. Really nice stuff. And then if we go on over to the next entrepreneur, which is second, internet seems to be loading. Our next entrepreneur, let's go up, let's make it quicker, faster. So the next entrepreneur is Leslie Ann Francis, and she looks like she's in charge of Law Ella's design. And she seems to do a lot of creative stuff that, customized bespoke items for Antigua. Nice. Turning your ideas into reality. It's pretty neat. And the other entrepreneur is none other than O'Neill Elvin from Blends. Blends has actually opened a second location in town, providing you with awesome smoothies and slushies. I'm just going to mute your mics so that we don't have any feedback as we come through. Thank you for joining us. If you're just joining, tonight is Startup Huddle GEW Week. We are celebrating entrepreneurs across the world. This is one of our partners that are making GEW possible, which is the Guard Center. Another one of our partners is U.S. Embassy of Bridgetown, and I will share a little bit with you on the U.S. Embassy Bridgetown. They are our embassy responsible here for the OECS, including Antigua and Barbuda. And there are lots of wealth of opportunities that's available on their website. All you have to do is go to bb.usembassy.gov. And if you go under the education and culture section, you will see a list and a wealth of opportunities for entrepreneurs and just general self-development, scholarships, grants, professional exchanges, youth ambassador programs, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, and we're going to be talking about the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative this evening as well. So this will be an opportunity for you to have any questions. You can ask about the U.S. Embassy Bridgetown. Also, one of our partners this evening is the Global Entrepreneurship Network, and I'll share a little bit with you about the GEW. And so GEW is a global network that is working on building one global entrepreneurial ecosystem. It connects entrepreneurs, investors, researchers, policymakers, and more all around the world. And Startup Huddle is one of the many programs that is available, and you can visit them at genglobal.org. And what we're going to do, we're going to play a quick video from the president of GEN speaking about Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Welcome to Global Entrepreneurship Week 2021, where 200 nations will host campaigns to inspire more of their citizens to consider the path of entrepreneurship. This week, we'll have celebrities like Richard Branson inspiring more young people to follow in their footsteps. We'll have global institutions in our field like Endeavor hosting national campaigns around the world. And we'll have corporations like FedEx supporting this effort to try to engage more of our historically underrepresented groups in this exciting world of creating new value and giving opportunity to all. You know, when we started Global Entrepreneurship Week with the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation in 2008, we had a different mission. We set about explaining to the world and showing to the world that Silicon Valley had no monopoly on entrepreneurship. Well, it appears that we have succeeded in that mission. We now have many, many nations embracing this as a primary driver, not just of job creation, but of generating opportunity for more of their citizens. And in fact, recently on the eve of Global Entrepreneurship Week, we released the Global Startup Ecosystem Report with our partner and very talented team at Startup Genome. There's so much in that report to take a look at, but let me point out a couple of facts that were indicative of the message I'm trying to convey today. It is extraordinary to me to see that in 2020 alone, so just in 1 year, we've seen a 55% increase in the size of the total value of the top 100 emerging entrepreneurial ecosystems. They now generate more than $540 billion. We're also seeing 91 of those ecosystems able to boast having created a unicorn. As we look at the success, though, there is still a lot of work to be done. We are facing massive problems, climate change, recovering from this global pandemic, and so much more. And in these uncertain and unpredictable times, it is our entrepreneurs that are vital to the future success of our society. Unlike many of us who get scared and frightened during these times, it is our entrepreneurs that actually thrive on uncertainty and on these situations. When someone comes in and pushes the reset button and shakes up all the rules, all of a sudden there are hundreds of thousands more possibilities, many more solutions to test, and much work to be done. So we need to have more entrepreneurs in the world, people with the aptitude, but also with the courage and the resilience to try to help us innovate our way and navigate our way through challenges such as this pandemic. It is our entrepreneurs that we are focusing on this week, and I'm so proud to say we will make it all about them, whether it's in Kansas City where there's 100 or more events, or whether it's across the globe via Zoom. It is important to say that this week we will be announcing the top 25 entrepreneurs from around the world out of 100,000 that entered the Entrepreneurship World Cup. I encourage you to take a look at these entrepreneurs, look at their story, look at why we picked them in a highly competitive field of so many people. They're indicative, they're great examples to us all of what can be accomplished when you come up with an idea, test it with a team, and figure out a new way of doing things which doesn't just benefit you, but also benefits your community and your fellow citizens. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved in this campaign, to all of our national hosts around the world, our thousands of partners, the hundreds of thousands of volunteers, and of course, I'd like to thank the staff at Gen Global and our teams for all the hard work and passion they've put into this year's campaign. I hope you will join us. If you can't find anything at gec.co that participate in locally, join us on social media at hashtag GEW2021. Happy Global Entrepreneurship Week.
And so that was the president of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, Mr. Jonathan Orthmans. Sorry about biting my tongue. And GEW is responsible for programs just like Startup Huddle, which allows us to basically help to build our local business ecosystem and connect entrepreneurs around the world. So Startup Huddle was launched here in Antigua and Barbuda back in November of 2020. For those of you who had participated back then, to follow our website and activities, you can follow us on social media. You can also follow us on our website, startuphuddle.app. You can see the shortcut links here. It highlights our partners. And just like you would have used tonight to join the meeting, there are a lot of opportunities that are available on startuphuddle.app. Most recently, we helped to promote this opportunity call for proposals for entrepreneurs to access funding. And many of the entrepreneurs who were successful, about 23 of them, were able to access a grant of over, almost $20,000 to help their business transition. And when you talk about a grant, that's money that you don't have to pay back. It's not a loan, but it's actually a grant that is to be used for a specific purpose. And we also share all the recordings of our Startup Huddle sessions, just like the one that we're doing tonight, for you to be able to access whenever, or if you're not able to participate in a Startup Huddle session. All right. Also, I want to also highlight YLI. We're going to talk about it tonight. The Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative. This is a program that is being run by the U.S. Embassy of Bridgetown. Actually, the government funded by the government of the United States. And this is a great program for entrepreneurs as well. We'll dive into it a little bit more. But on the site as well, even if you have not signed up for the program itself, you can access a wealth of free online courses to help you in terms of growing your business. So there are many different topics in different areas. The recordings are there, the content is there. So please feel free to, make use of the site to access it. It is YLAI.state.gov at the top here, and you'll be able to access all the online courses when you click on the menu. I think my co-host Ashante is back. Ashante, are you with us? We're going to dive into tonight's session.
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me good?
Awesome. We can hear you loud and clear. So perfect. we were just talking and introducing everyone to Global Entrepreneurship Week, talking a little bit about Startup Huddle and the partners that have made the Startup Huddle possible, and about Global Entrepreneurship, the Global Entrepreneurship Network, and some of the business opportunities that we're going to cover for tonight. So I would encourage you to just, introduce yourself, let the folks know who you are. I've already done that for myself.
I heard you. The lady that sells happiness and all that good stuff. So I'm the owner of Guilty Consumption. I started back February 2015 in my home. And last year, November 16th, 2020, I opened my first physical store location in the middle of the pandemic. And we're currently in a state of growing, strange enough, in a time where, it seems like nobody's making money or anything, but my business is thriving as an entrepreneur. And we are looking forward to the future and many other programs. I'm actually one of the winners of the grants, over $20,000. So that has been amazing. Um, so yeah, I'm very glad to be here this evening to share experiences and, just chit chat with you guys on entrepreneurship, because I mean, that's basically what I do: eat, sleep, repeat, entrepreneurship. So thanks for having me, Elijah.
Awesome. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so without further ado, as I would just give a few housekeeping rules again, we would have allowed you to unmute your mic if you have a question. I see Willande sending congratulations to you, Ashante. Again, we love celebrating entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. Even if you haven't decided to jump in, or if you're thinking about starting a business, Startup Huddle is the place to be. So please feel free to share the opportunity with your friends, your family, your colleagues, so we can help support each other in terms of making Antigua a better place to do business. All right. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the first session for tonight. We're going to have an interactive roundtable discussion, and we wanted to talk with everyone, especially in light of the fact that it was Global Entrepreneurship Week. We wanted to talk about our community and our economy. And we've basically provided a presentation, which I'll share with you. And as we go over it, we're going to cover different areas. So please feel free to make a note. If you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the chat, and we will go over them and answer them when we talk about the barriers or even solutions and opportunities that are available for businesses right here in Antigua and Barbuda and around the world. One of the key things that we have to keep in mind is that for any successful economy, or some people tend to forget that small businesses or businesses in general are the lifeblood of any economy. For economy to be successful, money and services and products have to be moving, constantly in motion. And so for an economy and our community to be successful, together they actually form what is considered an ecosystem. And just like the ecosystem that we see in the ocean, where you have plants and turtles and fishes and sharks and squids and all those different life forms within the ocean, there's almost an interdependence situation with them, where they rely on each other to survive. And the same thing applies for us, even in our business ecosystem. Some businesses do not realize that it is not necessarily that you have to be the only person selling a particular product. You have to understand consumers like choice. And so if you don't have, if somebody walks on the road and they see a bunch of businesses and they only see, let's say, one type of business that's there, they generally tend not to want to spend their money there. They want to have options, or at least a perception of options, so they can spend their money. So having more than one business sometimes in the same space is actually good for business. It encourages people to spend money because people like competition. So after doing a review of ecosystems all around the world, we recognized that there were some best practices or some structures that are supposed to be, in the more successful ecosystems, business ecosystems, that help to make it successful. And so we've basically listed out these 14 points, and we would love for you to share your perspective on it, whether you are someone who has a business or if you're thinking about starting one, so we can have a nice roundtable discussion on the topic. So the first one, Shanti, we're going to dive into, and I'm a big fan of acronyms. And so when I thought about the word eco, the first thing came to mind, of course, was entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I love about entrepreneurship, and I know you do too, is that it's all about solving problems, and particularly problems in our community. Our ecosystem is also about collaboration. We talked about interdependence, the importance of how we work together to be successful. And of course, organization is key, because if we have chaos, and if we don't have regulations, and if we don't have systems in place to ensure that businesses are doing what they're supposed to do, whether it be not just to protect the businesses, the consumers, but also to even protect businesses as well. So consumers can't just take stuff up and bring them back without, and feel that they should get their money back and stuff like that. If we don't have organization, rules, and regulations, there's other chaos within the environment.
Yes.
So the first thing that we recognize is a strong pillar in every successful ecosystem that we've seen around the world is there has to be a strong entrepreneurship spirit and culture. Basically, they have to be persons who are out there who are willing to take a risk and develop a business idea. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about the entrepreneur spirit in Antigua and Barbuda, but I know it's very strong because everybody hustle.
Yeah, right now, especially like since the pandemic hit, I think a lot of persons you're just seeing it everywhere. It's actually amazing to see, and how many persons have left their jobs and actually say, I really don't need my job. Let me go try this out, and it's been working for a lot of people, and people are tapping into their creative energy.
Yeah, no doubt. So this is definitely one of the hallmark pillars. The next one has to do with educational institutions, places where people learn about the benefits of entrepreneurship. Because sadly, there was a survey that was done back in 2015, and there was, of all the high schoolers who we surveyed, only one of them wanted to be an entrepreneur. So many of them didn't think entrepreneurship was a viable career opportunity. They just thought about maybe possibly getting a job and working for someone, as opposed to actually starting a business. And so this was a big concern when we saw it. And we know that, for example, in our school system, entrepreneurship particularly isn't necessarily taught as a subject. What do you think about that?
Well, back in my time, definitely was not a thing that was taught. So I agree. And I mean, I really don't care if y'all know my age, but I left school 2006. So I started 2001. But for me, they never taught us how to live or even to survive, much less to make money, or
True.
to even create the basics where creating a relationship with money. So as an entrepreneur and in my own experience, like I struggled with money, and if it is that you're trying to attract money as a business owner, you have to get right with money. And that's something that they should teach basic in school. Like it should be mandatory, just like in English and maths, in my opinion.
Agreed. I couldn't agree with you more. So that's definitely a problem that we have, that we definitely need to look at here in Antigua and Barbuda. Then, of course, there needs to be networking and training. So events just like Startup Huddle, where we can meet each other, exchange experiences and ideas, get feedback and best practices. And I think we would have crossed paths a few years before this, Ashante, when I had actually started a business circle at the public library. And I think you could share your experience a little bit on how that went, because we made so many connections and networking and meeting new people during the Startup Huddle, business circle at the public library. It was amazing. I don't know how it was for you.
For me, that's been my amazing experience. I mean, I met you before that, but we became more friends because of the circle. And then I don't know if you remember the first time we were doing a pitch practice until Lisa and all those persons from YLI, which I ended up applying to. And then, I became a YLI fellow now. And then they all eventually met me this year and was saying that they remember me from the pitch practice. And I was like, that was a good opportunity to have. So right now I could say whenever I meet persons, anytime you get an opportunity, and I know you taught me this, even if you don't feel like you're eligible, still apply. Like you not applying means that it's an automatic no. And this year I ran with that. And that is why I besides the grant that I won, I have 2 more grant opportunities ahead of me. So so I'm looking at, and funny enough, like I don't go searching for them. They just kind of fall in my lap now. And I don't know if like all of them are whispering to each other, like, hey, she applied for a grant, you should send her this. I don't know if that's what's happening, but it's just magically, it's kind of magic to me. And I think because I started one, it's like a ripple effect, like how when you throw a stone in the water and you see the ripples happening. And then right now I'm actually in the application process of getting that 30,000 euros. I'm like, why the hell not? Like that shit scares the hell out of me, but I'm like, hey, why not? And I believe in networking, because networking is so important for an entrepreneur. And I know a lot of persons in Antigua, and I started that way, where I was kind of scared to let anybody know that I'm the one behind of my business. And one thing that you need to know is that people buy people, and the people that love you and the people that want to give the money to you will be the ones to help open doors for you. And that's my experience.
Awesome sauce. All right, thank you for that. Another component of a good ecosystem, a strong ecosystem, is access to capital. And I know this is a big problem that a lot of persons have in regards to here. And when we talk about access to capital, we're talking about financial products and services to help support or stimulate business growth and development. It's one of the reasons why, again, this, the grant was such an awesome opportunity, because I know it was difficult trying to access funding from a lot of institutions. And so the grant was literally a blessing for quite a few entrepreneurs who had applied.
Yeah. What did you say? Difficult? Difficult is an understatement.
I'm being modest here. I'm being modest here.
Let me tell you, like, for me to get up and go to the bank, they literally have this blacklist like ready for you entrepreneurs. And I'm like, why is it so? Because I feel like if they fund more and educate, not even just giving us the money, but a matter of like teaching us or helping us on how to spend the money and use the money, I think this economy would be thriving more than anything else, you know. They just have a poverty mindset here that it kind of have us in a sort of a quicksand. So when it comes to the final, oh my God, like triggered. and yeah, like, it's crazy. Like sometimes I'm like, and most times persons that are entrepreneurs don't have capital. And when I mean capital, as in like assets, collateral to give up, right? So they want a lot from you, and sometimes it's just even to get $10,000. Like it's kind of crazy. And you know, with a company like mine, that I need a lot of refrigeration, I need a lot of my equipment's cost like 7,000 up. So for me to go to the bank and say I need this money, and I'm a restaurant, they're gonna look at me side eye, you know. So it's kind of, I think it's more so about education. And I believe that the grants, and I'm so grateful for them, because they, you know, they specifically target certain areas, and then some of them are basically more open to giving you more money, as you know, as you see, Elijah.
Yeah, perfect. So the next step in the ecosystem, alongside with access to capital, is the need for having access to grants. And this is financial assistance in the form of free money that you don't have to necessarily pay back, to help develop new ideas or business models. And generally, grants are normally designed to help you in a specific area of business. So for example, like the grant that Ashante spoke about earlier, it was specifically towards helping her to transition or allow her business to go digital. And so for that, the funds had to be used towards those specific purposes. So it wasn't just, she couldn't use it necessarily for working capital. She couldn't use it to buy a cell phone if she wanted. There were specific stipulations on those funds. And so while grants are amazing for some entrepreneurs, they may see it as a little bit of a hindrance. But if you can use the grants to help you in that particular part of your business, they generally can become a big major blessing for startups. In addition to those, another sector that is very important for a strong ecosystem is business support organizations. And these are basically organizations that help to provide advice, guidance, and resources for both new and existing businesses. In Antigua and Barbuda, I don't know if you know of some of the awesome business support organizations that we have here, like the Guard Center, one of our co-founders who's hosting Global Entrepreneurship Week, but they have been doing amazing work in helping to transform the lives of many young people over the past several years. And, you know, there are organizations like the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority and many others who, you know, lend support in terms of providing advice and guidance to businesses, whether new or old. I don't know if you had any special, you know, experience with any BSO, Shanti, that you may want to mention. I don't know.
Well, you basically covered everybody, but I don't have any full-on experiences with business support organizations, just your business circle. But I know of a lot. I know of Guard Center, and I know of the ABIA, and I know they do a lot of courses and stuff that I've probably never capitalized on yet. But yeah, I know they're there.
Okay, awesome. Then we talk about business associations. So just while we have also business support organizations, business associations are also a very important factor in successful ecosystems. And basically, business associations are a collective voice for similar sectors to advocate on issues that are affecting them. Now, this is something that we saw that was very glaring during the pandemic, because there were many businesses who were literally forced to shut down without any consultation, any kind of conversation with the government in terms of their approach. And some of the business owners tried to come together after the fact, but by and large, throughout any thriving economy and successful economies, you actually have strong associations of businesses in the same space. So whether it may be the restaurant owners, or maybe the gym owners, or maybe the hairdressers, or the vendors, or the bus drivers, or any business, whatever it is, once you have a collective association together, because government likes to speak with organizations, because instead of having to have 50 different conversations, they can have one conversation with organization and already understand, because the organizations will kind of filtered out what their main problems are and could bring solutions to the table, or basically have a representative to negotiate with them. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Shanti, before we have that conversation with the audience.
You're trying to trigger me tonight.
Just keep in mind that we have limited time, so we got to make sure we get into highlight. So be nice.
Mean, I know about those business associations, but I don't think I have much to say on that, honestly.
Okay, no problem. So we will carry on so that we don't get you triggered. In addition to business associations, it's very important to have competition and challenges. And these are basically programs geared at identifying problems or opportunities that need to be solved. I would have started off the presentation tonight for Startup Huddle by highlighting one of the main selling points for entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurs help to solve problems all around the world. So if there are competition and challenges, like say there's a challenge that say, how do we solve, I don't know, energy? Climate action and climate change is a big topic right now with all the leaders, global leaders coming home from COP26, because literally our planet is on the verge of almost, irreversible damage because of our actions in the across the world and different emitters. And so I think entrepreneurship has a role to play inside there. Maybe we need to have a challenge to say, how can we save our planet? And provide an award or grant or something like that to any businesses who can come up with an idea of how we can actually save our planet. So competition and challenges are also another sector that is very important for successful ecosystem for businesses. In addition to those, we also have accelerators and incubators. And that's something I know, Ashante, you can share on, because you've had some fun going through several of them. And these are basically programs that provide advice, guidance, and a mix of resources to help develop startups. So just like business support organizations, accelerators and incubators are pretty fine programs that normally last for a particular period of time. And they help to provide guidance and experience. And in some cases, they even provide you with, grants. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, I could share on that. Well, I'm with the one where we're both in OECS Techie, GBEST, and it's 7 months, 6 months, 6 months to 7 months of accelerator. I'm in the accelerator program where at the end of it all, they're basically helping us with a business plan and what your future goals are. And we have the opportunity to win 25,000 US, the first place winner. The second place is 15,000 US, and the third place is the 10,000. Y'all know I'm going for that 25,000, but it's just a matter of pitching. And I know I've learned pitching from Business Circle and also from YLI. Being a YLI fellow, I actually had to pitch in front of cameras and stuff. So for me, it's just a matter of me being prepared and taking advantage of the program to then pitch to get that 25,000. So gal, cross your fingers. I'm gonna get it.
Beautiful stuff. In addition to accelerators and incubators, there also is a need for mentors and coaches. who are generally experienced business people who can offer advice and guidance to help improve your business. And in Antigua and Barbuda, this is something that I feel very strongly about, because there have been a lot of successful entrepreneurs in Antigua and Barbuda, and there's this culture that we like to look at our own money, and we don't like to help each other in terms of partnerships and stuff like that. But there's one of the things that has really made a lot of ecosystems around the world very, very strong has been the fact that there has been a give it forward mentality. So if you have basically, gone through the ropes, learned some mistakes and whatnot the case may be, you can pass on that knowledge of mistakes to other entrepreneurs who are coming up behind, so that they don't fall down and make those mistakes and waste time trying to recover. Experience. I don't know if you have any experience in terms of mentors and coaches, Ashante, that you may want to share on.
Yeah, I could share on that. My first mentor was with Wiley. This guy named William Nicholson. He was pretty much very experienced when it comes to entrepreneurship, and they assigned me to him. And then with the other program, the second grant that I'm just finishing up right now, they assigned them on another mentor to me. So most of the times with these either accelerator programs or competitions and whatnot, they will assign a coach or a mentor. And with Wiley, I also got a life coach, where she was actually a cafe owner. So they, given what I'm doing, they put me with her, and then we kind of had like that good conversation. And I'm going to bounce off of what you were saying, where in Antigua, we have this culture where they don't want to share because they're afraid, oh, you might come and pass me out, and these are people that are overseas that, they already did it, and they're not threatened, and they're willing to share because, as an entrepreneur, your goal is to not keep the knowledge to yourself, but to always share.
Yep.
And for me, I just actually signed up and applied to become a mentor with the AWE. That's for women entrepreneurship with the US Embassy as well. So I just applied for that because, it is my duty.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my duty to become a mentor as well, because, I've spent my time doing this, and what point is it if I can't share and, pass on knowledge to the next generation to come?
Absolutely. Great perspective. So in addition to mentors and coaches, we also have investor funding. And this is also a big opportunity that we believe that needs to be bridged here in our ecosystem locally. And these are basically persons or entities willing to provide finance or take a risk on an idea with an entrepreneur. Many of the existing ecosystems here in Antigua and Barbuda would tell you that the financial institutions would tell you, well, because they have depositor funding, the depositors' monies to manage, they don't want to take the risk on lending to entrepreneurs and the risky business because they don't know if you're going to succeed, yes or no. And so there is a need for us to find some form of mechanism together. I know there's certain agencies that have been working on this, because even from the government, the Prime Minister's Entrepreneurial Development Fund, I'm sorry to say, but like that has literally almost mimicked what they are for banks. They may offer cheaper interest rate, but when you calculate the difference between the interest rate and what banks are offering, they're literally no different because they're asking for the same exact requirements, which is just kind of pointless. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or you're gonna get triggered again.
I'm gonna get triggered.
Okay, we're gonna just kind of slide on by that one. So
I can speak on investor funding, but I think in our country we have a lot of corruption when it comes to investing. And of course, a lot of persons are very skeptical about investors because they don't really have any positive. But I think we need to teach persons on how to go about it. I know you always used to speak on contracts.
Black and white.
Yeah, and making sure that people are taught on how to get investors or the right investors for them. So I think that's important as well.
Okay, awesome. And another fundamental system, because we're winding down to the last three, is government policy. plans or systems established to help encourage and enhance the ease of doing business. Now, I know this is definitely a problem here because I know since I was growing up, they've been talking about the fact that they need a one-stop shop for persons who are registering business and being able to sign up with a different, statutory corporation agencies, whether it is to pay taxes or to submit statutory deductions. Some of these agencies only even just recently starting accepting credit cards, or digital payments. And we still have the issue of having to move from one building to the next or one agency to the next just to get your business sorted out and set up here in Antigua and Barbuda. I don't know if there's another trigger issue for you, but if you have a comment.
Let me tell you, like I keep saying, like, how are we a country moving forward and we cannot get an upgrade to our government system? And the fact that their government system cannot be upgraded, that triggers me. And I worry about our progression when it comes to that aspect of things.
Right. And that government policy just slides on right into number 13, which is infrastructure and technology, because quite a lot of that actually relies on government policy to be possible. And these are platforms that enhance easier access to target markets or facilitate trade. And this has a lot to do with, again, just like your grant that was helping you to go digital, the need for the fact that we live in almost a global economy where basically persons can buy or shop from you anywhere. I think earlier today we were actually having a conversation about franchisee businesses that have, expanded outside of Antigua, or persons being able to shop from Antigua online, and with the kind of internet services and the infrastructure that we have here. Because whether you're a technology business or even if you're a farmer, for example, being able to have roads or security to access to your farm or even to the market or even storage facilities, testing labs, those kind of things. If you don't have those kind of facilities or infrastructure in our economy, it really limits our ability to, appeal to a lot of international markets that require these, this kind of infrastructure to be able for us to be successful.
That's so true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So number 13 will lead into number 14, which has to do with target markets. I think this is the last slide. Basically, that has to do with groups of potential customers who want to buy your products or service. So all our target markets would have to be basically customers who want to buy our particular products or service, for all the entrepreneurs who have that awesome entrepreneurial spirit. And so with that, we want to highlight the fact that in Antigua and Barbuda, there is a problem with planning. For some weird reason, our leaders do not seem to think that there's a need to properly plan, long-term plan. And from my wild experience, which we're going to share with you guys in a minute, one of the things that I learned from that experience while I was doing my fellowship was the fact that many of the successful countries and businesses that we spoke to, they all had a plan. And for some reason, our government don't seem to like the plan. I see Makeda asked a question in the chat before you go out, Ashante. She said, "Good day, lovely presentation. Where can I access the recording for the webinar? Also, can the guest please repeat the type or the name of her business?" So can you repeat? I'll let you go first. Can you repeat the name of your business?
The name of my business is called Guilty Consumption. I'll type it in the chat as well.
Okay, you have to type it to everyone. I think you're putting it to only us alone. That's why. So they're not seeing your reply.
That is so true. Apologies.
Yes, and I see Sarah made the point.
Yes.
Here
we go.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So yeah, that's a big problem that we have here in Antigua and Barbuda. Let's go over some of the comments in the chat, because I would really love to hear the perspectives of some of the persons in the audience. So we saw persons with cheering for you, Ashante. Whoop, whoop. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then I see there was a comment here. They taught us how to manage our other people's money working for someone else, not necessarily pushing or working for ourselves. Yeah, I think that covered the area of education we were talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Again, I see another comment supporting that. We were trained to be employees. And then persons, I think, were congratulating you on your move and the grant as well, when we touched on that topic. And I see it was a great experience for me as well. My business was just an idea at the time, and I think this has to do with the business circle. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Not been a business owner for almost 2 years. Congratulations on that. And then I see another comment here on networking, and that I believe in training and networking. And also I see a comment here supporting you in terms of your move to help continue passing and paying it forward. I believe in that sharing and paying it forward mentality, so you can become a mentor for those who are coming up with you, Shanti.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I see another one. You share, you learn, you grow. And yeah, so we've seen, yes, so it's confirming that it was indeed the business circle that idea came from. And I think that is Crepit Antigua. So we're going to be looking for presenters for Startup Huddle coming next week, where you have an opportunity to pitch your business ideas to the audience, just like we are sharing this presentation now, for feedback. And also what we do for all the businesses who come and pitch at Startup Huddle, we actually promote them ourselves through our network to help drive truck customers and raise awareness to your business. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of covered tonight some of the barriers and kind of talked about some of the barriers. I would love us to talk about some of the solutions and opportunities because we are crunched for time. See how time flies when we're having fun. We're talking about if we're going to be having enough time, and we're literally running out of time. So I will switch the conversation over if there's no other comments from anyone in the audience. We are going to be sharing some of the opportunities, one of which is the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative 2023 Fellowship, which is an all-expense paid exchange between the US and your country, Antigua and Barbuda. If you're an entrepreneur and you meet the requirements, it's a great opportunity. I've been a part of it, and so has Ashante. She's actually one of last year's fellows. And so we want to share our experiences on the program and provide you with any support and advice. Just know that we will also be, and I think I'm not sure if I answered the question from Makeda, but the recordings for all our sessions are going to be available on the Startup Huddle website. So every website you can follow, it's going to be on our Facebook page, it's going to be on our YouTube channel, it's going to be on our website. So you can always go back over and watch any of the recordings for any Startup Huddle session. All right, so if there are no other questions, we're going to switch over to the YLI experience. So the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, YLI, is, and I'll try to the Zoom to get it right. All right, so the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative is a program of the U.S. Embassy of Bridgetown, Barbados, and it is geared towards mid-career professionals who are coming from around 37 countries around the world. And one of the countries, of course, is us right here in Antigua and Barbuda. So we're eligible. And they basically invited to come to the US for a 4-week professional exchange fellowship and closing forum, where they will get a chance to work with US businesses to learn, share experiences, develop their business skills, and build networks. And I can definitely tell you without a doubt, that experience is phenomenal. That is something you cannot pay for. It is priceless. You get a 4-week placement in cities across the US, and you gain valuable professional development. I think Ashante spoke about earlier about her connection with the mentors, both your life coach as well. And through the program itself, fellows collaborate with their hosts on entrepreneurship leadership plans, and you actually get to compete and pitch your ideas as well. You've participated in a virtual opening ceremony and a closing ceremony in the capital of the US, Washington, D.C., and you get to network with business leaders, entrepreneurial leaders, government representatives, other small, medium, and large-sized businesses in the US. And even after the fellowship, so if you thought that you had so much fun already and you learned so much already, they still give you more. Even after the fellowship, you have an opportunity to apply for grant funding for your business, or to develop any ideas that you may have. And one of the programs that I know Ashante mentioned as well, such as the AWE program, came out of after the YLI experience, which is funded by the US government, supporting entrepreneurs across the Caribbean and Latin America. And so from after the fellowship engagement, 84% of the entrepreneurs in this program have attracted new resources. 94% felt prepared to find funding that they were looking for their business to grow, and 98% applied what they learned in the US. I'm part of that 98%, and brought it back home here in Antigua and Barbuda after a year for the fellowship. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ashante, just to kind of share a little bit about your experience. I will give full disclosure. So my initial experience was in 2017. I had the opportunity to physically go to the US. I was positioned in the US state of Missouri, Kansas. And I spent my 4 weeks placement with what would be their version of our US, basically their tourism authority mixed with their development authority. It was really, really interesting. One of their hotels alone has over like one hotel alone has almost all the rooms that we have here in Antigua and Barbuda. I was like, wow. So
Yeah.
I got a chance to see how they got to bring traffic to their space, how they helped to build a local entrepreneur ecosystem, even got a chance to volunteer. And I learned about food banks and stuff like that, spent some time at a Kaufman College, got a chance to actually even meet up with local families there on the ground to see an exchange of culture. And so I know because of the pandemic, the program itself, and it does say so in the 2023 application, if the pandemic continues to hinder possibilities for travel, then there's an opportunity for you to be able to experience it virtually, which is what happened with you. So I would love for you to share your experience.
Yes.
What was it
I
like
mean,
for
it
you?
was it was very bittersweet that I did not get to go physically. All of us were like so bummed out about it, all 200 and something of us. But they really, really, I must admit, they really made it possible to somewhat feel like we are experiencing what we could have possibly experienced physically. Had I been there, well, first of all, I actually won in 2019 and I was to travel in June 2020. However, that did not work out because the pandemic hit at that time. And then they did everything in their power and they're like, you know what, guys, we're gonna just do it virtually since, virtual became a thing. And then we started in February and finished in April. So because we were doing it virtually, we spent a longer time than how, we would have been if we were physically there. Had I been there physically, I would have been in Boston. And I'm so mad about that. But but in that case, we did get a Boston cohort. So if we were there physically, they would have been the ones to take us around and see the country and all that good stuff. So I've managed to virtually get a tour of Harvard.
Ooh.
Yes, I've managed to see all the historical points and learn a lot of history about Boston and the different lakes and all sorts of stuff. It was kind of funny to me because they even pointed out the fact that Boston was one of the most racist places in the world. I'm kidding, but yes, they did point out that. It was actually quite hilarious. I never forgot that, to be honest. But they really made it a big deal to make sure that we felt like we were getting the best out of the best. We had our Boston cohorts, and then we had our mentors, and then of course we had our host, so who we would have been there physically with, as in like you were saying you were at a hotel, Elijah. I was supposed to be at this vegan cheesecake factory, so they weren't actually retail like me, but they were distributors, so like supermarkets and stuff. So I got to experience that a bit. It was pretty cool. The lady was pretty hype. She had good energy and she was always willing to share. So I asked a lot of questions and, I managed to be able to, that helped me a lot more with production for my space. So I realized that I need a broker to do certain things and, things that I never even thought of, that made me like, oh, damn, I need to get this if I want to get to this next level, I think virtually it was well put together. And if anybody actually planned to apply and they get through, do not, I repeat, do not procrastinate on your ELAP. As soon as you get it, do it, like do it bit by bit, because then when you wait for the last minute to complete it, it seems very overwhelming. So with Wildlight, if you're virtually doing it, they have tendencies of giving you, you know, working on your own pace, and you have deadlines. But once you get the work, just get it done, because you don't want to be in a space where it's like crunch time and you don't, like, you feel stressed, because it's a lot of information that you take in. And that's my advice to anybody that's doing it. But it's worth it 100%. It's an experience that nobody can probably, give you, I would say. Is very unique. So don't hesitate. I mean, I see Saran said that her age exempt. I know that's the sucky
Right.
part. But anybody else, if you can do it, you just apply,
Yeah. And I also see Willande asked the question, is it going to be virtual? So this is one of the questions that's kind of up in the air still. I know the US is now opening back up for fully vaccinated travelers coming back. And so that means that more than likely, once they don't necessarily have another resurgence of the pandemic, because this is going to be happening in 2023, then more than likely they will have a face-to-face session. So just before we wrap, I want us to take a look at some of the frequently asked questions about the Wildlife program. And as I mentioned before, we will have another session that is going to basically guide you through the application process for Wildlife, and we'll invite make some other Wildlife fellows available to you if you have any questions about the application process, because we want to have more and more Antiguans and Barbudans being successful at this. Ashante, I don't remember how many persons applied during your year, but I know for my year, there were over 1,000 applicants who submitted. And out of that 1,000, only 250 were selected. So you have to
I think
basically
for
make sure
my
that,
year,
yeah.
overall, it's about 2,000, almost
Oh,
2,700. We had a lot of
wow.
applications.
Wow.
And
So,
then they
yeah.
selected 200 or something, and only 2 were from Antigua in my year.
Yeah, so that's a problem. I know that the many international programs complain about our entrepreneurs and our people that we do not apply, or we wait till the last minute to apply for opportunities and programs, and so we don't want that to happen. So if you are interested in applying for Wildlife, if you need help applying for Wildlife, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We are more than happy to assist you with your application process and to ensure that how we get our entrepreneurs the opportunity to benefit from the being a part of this awesome program. So some frequently asked questions that are normally asked about Wildlife. The program is funded by the U.S. the U.S. State Department, the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. It brings together over 280 promising leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean and Canada each year to the United States to expand their leadership and entrepreneurial skills and network through skills building workshops and opportunities to learn from exchanges with the U.S. counterparts. Saran would have made the point. It is for specific age groups. So if you are not 25 or between 25 and 35 by January the 1st, 2023, you will not be eligible for this program. However, even though you may not be eligible for this program, there are quite a number of other exchange programs. They have professional exchange programs such as the Humphreys. I know there are at least 3 or 4 other ones that you can actually apply for that does not have this age limit on it, that can give you the same experience with the U.S. Embassy. So again, visit the U.S. Bridgetown page, I think it's bb.usembassy.gov, or go back, but just Google U.S. Embassy Bridgetown, and go to the education and cultural affairs sections, and you'll have access, because they even offer grant opportunities as well. And so that's something you should definitely take advantage of. Here it asks about being a citizen. Of course, Antigua and Barbuda is right there at the top of the list. Bam, 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 bam. So of course we're eligible. You have to be eligible to receive a US J1 visa. And a J1 visa is basically a visa that allows you as an exchange visitor or student into the US. So you're not going there to work per se, but you're there for exchange program. And they take you through the US Embassy. You apply just like you normally apply for the visa process. And if successful, you are awarded your visa, you're allowed to travel and experience that. You must not be a citizen of the United States or permanent resident of the United States. You must not be a US government employee. You must be able to speak English and write and speak it. This is the official language of the program, even though we would have met many other young people who spoke other languages, Spanish, French, Portuguese. I have enough friends from Brazil and Paraguay right now. And you must be available to travel to the United States between January and February of 2023. So that seems like this is going to be the date for the program. So basically, they have a year to get over the pandemic drama. And so I want to believe that this program is going to probably be face-to-face more than likely once, knock wood.
I think we have a question, Elijah, in the chat. I don't know if you want to check it after or, before.
Oh, sure. So let me dive into it. Thank you for that. What advice would you give to someone who may be considering starting a business with no capital? What were some institutions you reached out to for assistance regarding grants, etc.? That's a great question, Makeda. I'll share my perspective.
You can share, and I can share it as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So from when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was about 15 years old. And I got so much static, obviously, as someone under 18, to even get funding from the bank. And so one of the ways in which I raised funds was to ask family and friends to invest in my idea. So they were my first investors. I pitched to everyone, told them, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you help me out with some money? And And you'll be surprised. Some of your family and friends were willing to, if they believe in your idea, some of them were like, oh, you're always dreaming about something, forget about it, whatever. But there were more persons who were willing to support my idea and my vision. And then as I grew older and, was able to pay them back their money from the investment, I was able to apply at the time to the development bank, Antigua Barbuda Development Bank. There I got my first, I think, $10,000 loan from them to start an unlocking phone business. And then thereafter, because that was actually being provided under a program with Stanford at the time, who's now arrested, but that helped me to get my business off the ground. Throughout my journey as an entrepreneur, I've also explored tapping into various grant. Well, in particular, I like competitions. Then that's true, Saran. You realize strangers tend to support you more than sometimes friends and family, and that's fine. The main idea is to just make sure you be able to get the money so you can do what you got to do and pay back the people in their money when you promise them. So very important to keep your promise when you take people money. But another opportunity, way that I found to raise funds for me were through competitions. So, for example, the Pitch It Caribbean competition. That competition allowed me to win $5,000 to help develop my idea for my business. And that also gave me a trip to St. Kitts. I met with a bunch of entrepreneurs from across the region. And so applying for competitions are a great way. They help you to refine your pitch and also your idea. And at the same time, you get a chance to actually, win startup money. And again, that was one of the structures, the best practices I kind of highlighted before when we were talking with Ashante about the different, pillars or sections in a successful ecosystem. Competitions and challenges were one of them. And then from there, places like the U.S. Embassy Bridgetown, they also provide grants for businesses and quite a few other agencies around and business support organizations as well. So yeah, you have different options. Money doesn't always have to come just from traditional finance institutions. I can tell you, I have no shame in telling you that I've been turned down by every single financial institution in Antigua and Barbuda when I applied for my business loan. I have no shame to tell you that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that many of them are not set up to provide funding for businesses. And that's very sad. Even the Prime Minister's Entrepreneurial Development Program, they plainly look at me flat out and tell me, no, my idea didn't make any sense to them. And the funny thing, or my way of, my kind of redemption is after they tell me stuff like that and your business becomes successful, kudos to me and sorry for them that I would have been interest money that they could have earned from me that has now gone to somebody else. So that's my perspective. I'll let Ashante share her perspective.
Yeah.
I hear that chuckle.
I'm bouncing off of what you just said. Mm-hmm. But for me, when I started, I was super broke. That's the reason why I started in the first place, because I was working for a so-called stable government job. And I couldn't even pay, I think I was left back with $200 a month, after paying bills and rent and everything. So, I had a 3-year-old at the time. So that was kind of ridiculous. And my journey started because I was like, what skill do I have? What can I do to, make some extra cash? And really, that's how my business started. And I never went for a loan until maybe like 2 years later. And I was probably like, that's a good thing and a bad thing because, sometimes with the banks, they're a bit more cutthroat. And if you don't know how the system works, you can get caught in it like really messed up, right? So I had to go through all that. Thank God I didn't end up in jail. Thank God. But they are not really forgiving when it comes to entrepreneurs. So even if you like, let's say for instance, I applied for the loan when I was working for the government, and then entrepreneurship is unsure. Sometimes you will have great amounts of money, and then the next time you would have not that much money, and they don't care if you don't have money. They do not care.
They don't care. Yeah.
They will carry you to the court, and they will get them to make you spend even more money to pay them. So sometimes, don't rush to go to the banks. Bootstrap as much as possible as you can. Like even what Elijah said about going to friends and family. Again, you can see maybe a stranger, as Saran say, and they will be like, what, we believe in you more than your family, and they will be willing to give you maybe $1,000. Sometimes you don't even ask for 10 grand, ask for $1,000 here and there. If you can get 10 persons to give you $100, you're good.
Lick a full basket. Yep.
Exactly. And don't always think that like the big companies, you can just get everything perfectly done right away. Like, for example, last year when I actually opened my store, I was broke. When I say broke, I don't know how the hell up to this day, how did I open a store location? How did I build it? How did I do all that? And I know I had no money. Before I started, I had no money. But all I know, I believed, and like the money just showed up. So don't like project too much. Just know that, okay, this is what you need, and kind of give yourself some time on where you want to be. Maybe let's say, and this is Wildlife is perfect for this. They teach you how to plan. Must always have a plan, like bit by bit, and they like to do it in like small intervals, and then of course on a larger scale. So there's nothing that's impossible, of course, and you can always reach for the biggest of the biggest, but just do it vigilantly. Like, don't rush into anything. Don't scare yourself, and it's possible. And know that it is not a bed of roses. Roses have thorns too, and you're gonna get cut. So
true that.
It's not for the weak-hearted. It's nice to say, oh, I'm the owner of my own business, but there's the back end of all the craziness that comes with it. There's less nice days and more crazy days.
That's so true, and that's great advice. I want to join you in saying that, because I see the comment from Vanessa saying great advice on not rushing and being perfect all the time. So that's definitely true. I see Wilande supporting that. She knows that feeling as well. I would say to Saran that even the credit unions are also one of the places that have turned me down as well for my business. And Sharon is also sharing the thought that the thorns are also part of the process. One of the things that I've learned on my entrepreneurial journey, and I see a few questions from Makeda, but one of the things, as Ashante said, one of the things that a lot of financial institutions don't understand, and this includes banks and credit unions, are like, being broke is just a moment in time. Because when you're running a business, today you might not have no customer tell what you to do. And then tomorrow the universe bless you, whether through marketing or through, customer referrals or something like that. But literally, you will have a windfall of cash coming in from sales just like that. So today you might be broke with your last $5, and then the next day or next week you have $10,000 sitting down in the bank from sales that you would have made selling, whether you're selling cheesecakes or you're providing services, or you get a big order or a couple of clients coming at you all at the same time. And so, being broke is just a moment in time, and a lot of our financial institutions do not understand this, right?
Elijah, I want to bounce off of that, what you just said. I think Saran was saying the credit union, girl, the credit union is who tried to carry me to jail. So it's all of them are the same way. So, as you said, Elijah, where they need to be a bit more forgiving, and they need to be a part in the bank that is
It's not about
specifically.
the forgiving, no. They need to be structured to be able to take care of businesses, because the reality
Yes, that
is
I was about to
in
say they
in
need something for
in
entrepreneurs.
yeah, because even I even spoke to the prime minister at cabinet level when they were talking about the entrepreneurial development program and even funding. And I said to them, you cannot be giving startup businesses loans. You need to be providing the startup businesses and them with lines of credit. The reason why is because when you give a business a loan, they have to pay this lump sum at the end of the month. And once they pay out that money out of the business, it takes cash out of the business that they cannot access ever again. With a line of credit now, basically, if you have to pay, as you pay back the line of credit, the money is still available to you if you need to withdraw it again. And so you can invest into the business to be able to pay bills or to meet a stock shortfall or whatever. But from the time you go down the road of loans, you're asking for trouble in business. And this is something that I've noticed as a best practice from my wildlife experience and just working with other businesses around the world and different economies. Businesses who get lines of credit are very patient, because there's this culture that we have that if your business is not successful after 3 years, or sorry, after 6 months, or within 3 years, then it
Stop.
basically doesn't make no sense. But if you look on most of the successful businesses out there today, Amazon, Facebook, what they call the other one, Uber, quite a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
in Harlem. Not many of these businesses did not make a single cent for the investors for the first 5, 6, 7. I think in Amazon case it was almost 13 years. And look at where
Yep.
Amazon is today.
Yep.
So if we are so short to be able to give our entrepreneurs all this drama and these problems when we talk about and here we're kind of diving into some of the solutions and ideas that we need to have in the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the opportunities that are available. But we need to provide a financing mechanism whereby entrepreneurs can have access to a line of credit, so they don't have to deal with loans at the start of when they're starting up their business.
I agree. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most ticklish topic when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So I'm going to go, before I come to your questions, Makeda, I'm just going to cover up the balance of this while I question, because you have about 3 questions here that we can all answer back to back. But on the while application, are you, if I'm 35, so this is somebody asking if they're 35 or 36 before the January the 1st. If you do not meet the age requirement, the long and short of it is that you're not going to be accepted. So you have to be within the age limit as of the January the 1st, 2023, to be able to apply for the wildlife program. If you do not have a passport, yes, you can still apply. Just apply, and as soon as, if you've been successfully accepted, you have to apply for your passport, get approved so that you can apply for your visa for the US and be able to join your other fellows on this program. And I think 2023 is probably going to be very lit. And then here they talk about the 2022. The fellowship will be launched in August 2022 with a pre-arrival virtual programming. And then everybody will have an opportunity to travel once it's possible during January and February 2023 to complete the placement. So it looks like they're doing a hybrid mix this year for next cohort, Ashanti, virtual and then face-to-face as well.
Yeah,
Can your family and friends travel to the US with you for wildlife fellows? The answer is no. The program itself is very intensive. And while you have your own apartment, your own room and all that kind of stuff, they very much frown upon you having family and friends visiting you throughout the program, because basically it's supposed to be focused on work. And this is not saying that you can't have friends after working hours or your placement time, but they don't want to distract you from what you came there to do. How much does it cost to be a part of the program? It's absolutely free. There's no fee to apply. So nobody can tell you, oh, you need to apply for them to help you for this and that. You don't need to pay a single soul. All the costs are covered by the US government, compliments, covering all the costs, including travel. How do you apply for the program? That's the best question. You just simply go to the website, yli.state.gov, just Google it. Or if you follow Startup Huddle, the link will be there for you to easily click and apply. And the deadline is December the 1st, 2021 at 11 a.m. As Ashanti mentioned earlier, the ramp with the delay procrastination time, because they're very specific, and sometimes it it becomes a bit tedious and overwhelming. But start applying now. Again, like I said, Startup Huddle is going to host another session that will allow you to be able to, we can have a walkthrough about YLI application for those persons who are interested. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to ensure that we help you to apply. Does the application need to be completed in no session? Absolutely not. You can actually save and go through the applications through your process. Take your time, piece by piece, answer the questions, provide information. And it's not any kind of, and Ashante, you can back me up on this, there's not no kind of, difficult, out of the way kind of questions that you have to tackle with. They just want to have an idea of what is it that you're doing and why do you want to join the program.
I could tell you one more thing, one major tip if you want to be accepted. We know YLI is very centered around how are you giving back to the community. So yeah, you may have a nice profitable business, but they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, what are you doing for your community? How are you giving back? So if you do not have an initiative behind your business, don't even bother. Don't even.
Right. So you have some kind of give back in your program, kind of like mentoring, coaching, or supporting your community in some way for you to have an edge over traditional businesses that are just there making money. Who should I contact for technical difficulties? They have the email here, apply.wildlifefellowship@irx.org. This is all available on the website. And again, we'll be posting it on the Startup Huddle social media channels and also webpage for you. What are the next steps after applying? Once your application is received, you'll be notified of your status by January 2022. So you can enjoy your Christmas meal and drink your champagne for the New Year's. And then they will let you know if you're a semi-finalist. And then they'll proceed you to the interview round. And then, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send an email to apply.wildlifefellowship@irx.org. IRX is an international organization that helps or works with agencies to educate and develop young people all around the world. And so they've been doing it for many years. So you can always check them out on Facebook if you have any questions or if you're not curious. And that's pretty much the FAQ in terms of the YLI Fellowship. To the questions that Makeda had in the chat for us, Ashante, and for the group. What have you enjoyed most about starting a business? And would you say it's something that you're always passionate about? And I think she had another question, which would be, let me go down. What inspired you to start your business? And then there's a last one. So it's what inspired you to start your business? What have you enjoyed most about starting a business and what would you say is something you always, and would you say it's something that you've always been passionate about? And I'll save the last question, which has to do with what challenges did you overcome at the beginning of your journey? I don't know if you can pack all three of those into one.
I can.
For us to wrap up. Yeah.
I
So
can. That's
basically,
like
your
an
challenges.
story.
What inspired you? What do you enjoy the most? Is it something that you've always been passionate about? And what have been the challenges that you overcome at the beginning of your journey?
Okay, so what inspired me? I was broke, as I told you guys before. Nothing better than a broke person, and being a mom and wanting to provide. I would like to say that my initial profession, or what I was passionate about, is being a chef. And I left the industry after I had my son because I kind of realized that it's not really healthy when you are trying to build a family, basically. So I became a health inspector instead. And, by that time I was, choosing, okay, maybe I should go back into that field, but, for myself rather than in the system, in the industry. I would like to say that I have been passionate about it. I apparently wrote this when I was 18 years old. I said this, people that know me from since I was that age knew that I always said I'm going to have my own restaurant. Not knowing that I was actually going to do it. I was going to manifest it. I'm actually a very powerful manifestor. So everything that I said I'm going to do, I am doing it now. And that is something that's very amazing. So I guess, yes, I was always passionate about it, even if I didn't know I was. Did I think I would reach this far? Hell no. It's a hell no. Sometimes I'm still like, is this real? Did I have a lot of challenges? I had probably 85% of challenges throughout the entire thing. And I'm only now, as in like this year, maybe 2 months ago, realizing that, okay, all right, universe, I hear you. And this is exactly what I need to be doing. No problem. Because I was ready to throw in the towels maybe 100 times. And I probably said that this shit ain't it. So yes, I had many, many challenges. I've had moments where, you lose friends and you're like, why is that even a thing? I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. And now I'm in a very mature space, and I am very confident that Guilty Consumption will be an international franchise, because I am making it known, because now I am present that it is very much possible, and nobody can come and tell me otherwise, because they won't know it's happening. All they will see it happening. They won't know it's happening. So yes, it's almost 7 years, Elijah, that I'm doing this. I did not realize it was 7 years.
Yep.
And
Time flies when you're having fun making people smile.
Right? I'm saying, right? So for me, it's been an amazing journey, and now is my beginning. So I spent 7 years getting my ass bust to now know that, yes, this is exactly what I want to be doing, and this is what I will be doing. And I don't think I'll be doing anything else. Maybe I'll probably start other businesses when I reach the point where I'm not needed in this business. And that will basically be it. But yeah, I would never change it. I'm never going to work for anybody unless I'm like consulting. And it's an amazing journey, and I would never tell anybody to give up. Do not give up on yourself. Just as Elijah, it's very much discipline that you have to have when it comes to your own business, because we would show up and go and work the 9 to 5 and put in the work, but then when we realize, oh, it's all business, nobody didn't tell her nothing, we would relax and procrastinate and all these things. But trust me, like, trust yourself, trust the universe, and make sure it is something that you know why you're doing it, and you're not doing it for people. Just know that it's something that you're doing for yourself. And maybe, I mean, if you're doing it for people, like, for example, like giving back to the community and stuff like that, depending on the nature of your business, but make sure to know why you're doing it. Because let me tell you, when you're on your bottom, you need that why, and it is what helps you to keep going and keep moving forward. And about that entrepreneurial spirit right there. So that was a deep question. Thanks, Makeda.
And she asked another one as well. She asked, before you wrap up, apart from the wildlife program, what are some of the other programs that persons 18 and up can apply to? And I think Vanessa also asked a question about the AWE program, the R program, and where to apply to. I will point them through the website. So on the U.S. Embassy website, bb.usembassy.gov, Anisha, thank you for posting it in the chat. Under the Education and Cultural Affairs section, if you look here, that says local programming, you will see a wealth of programs, from scholarships for citizens in the Caribbean, grant programs, professional exchanges, youth ambassadors, the YLI initiative, and even the one here. This is the one, Vanessa, which is the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, AWE. This is the one Ashante was mentioning. These are all programs that are available. Again, also for you, Makeda, depending on your age category, over 18, whatnot, there are tons of programs and opportunities for you to tap into to help you on your journey for entrepreneurship. All right.
And that's just one section, you realize, Elijah, because there's like UNDP, there's
so many
last thing
agencies.
I did was with UE and Frankfurt University and UNDP. Like UNDP is another one that you guys can check out, because they're pretty amazing right now. And the OECS, they're doing a lot right now. GBEST and all those other persons and stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Saran, for that comment. I think Saran is saying that she has to go now. You're both inspired. We're actually well over our time, so we must apologize. We're just having fun. So I will keep my experience kind of short, Makeda. To your question, what inspired me? I always knew I wanted to own an international business since I was about 13, 14 years old. Having watched and worked and watched other entrepreneurs around the world and even here locally working for themselves. Some of the big challenges has been access to financing. And like I said, I would have turned to family and friends to help raise funds, and then learning how to do competitions. What inspired the idea for the business? It was actually, I've been in communications for quite some time, and it is always very difficult to find information about what's happening in businesses around us. And even especially when I travel, I always had a very hard time staying in contact with my with what's happening home back in Antigua and Barbuda. And so that kind of inspired my business, the local app, to get started. And yeah, in a nutshell, as Ashante mentioned a little while ago, part of the whole journey is getting your butt kicked and falling on your face. I have been and seen those broke days, so I know exactly what it's all about. And then I've seen the successful days where you had a windfall. So with that, I would want to just kind of leave you all with a reminder that this is GEW week. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. I hope that the discussion that we had was worthwhile to you. GEW is happening from the 8th to the 14th of November. And you got to say big up to the Guard Center who is hosting. Tomorrow, they're going to have a Let's Talk Business session at Clear Hall, and thereafter at the next day at the Guard Center. So feel free to follow their activities. The agenda and whatnot is available on their social media page, and also Startup Huddle. And of course, if you have any questions or if you want to follow this recording, please feel to share it with your friends and family and let them know all about Startup Huddle. To follow us, go to the website. If you have any questions, drop an email, or this is my number, WhatsApp. And we just want to say thank you to all the partners, including not all of them are not here. But we just want to say thank you for making GEWE and Gen Global possible. And so with that, I want to thank you all once again. Please, you're going to see an ad come out very soon that is going to be inviting any businesses who want to do presentations at the next Startup Huddle to submit an application to us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you in terms of celebrating the entrepreneurs around Antigua and Barbuda and around the world for GEW 2021. With that, I want to say thanks once again and have a great evening. See you at the next huddle. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.